Exciting day today. I'm going to be flying all the way down to Roseburg, Oregon. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Approach Cessna 374 Mike Alpha. The smoke out here is getting pretty bad. I am not going to continue VFR to Roseburg.
Why turn back? How did I know? Why did I even go in the first place? Well, I got a story about that. So there's this thing you need for your commercial called the long cross country. 300 nautical miles total, 3 airports, one leg's gotta be 250 miles from home. Like a lot of students that fly out of Galvin at Boeing Field, I picked Roseburg, Oregon, since it's got a straight line distance of a little over 250 miles. Now obviously the real route's gotta be twistier than that. Southeast to dodge the Class Bravo at Seattle, southwest to dodge the mountains and the military operating areas, and it's a decent shot down Southland at Hillsboro, Oregon to refuel before heading on, and another 140 miles due Southland at Roseburg, refuel again, turn around. Fighting headwinds the whole way down, the return trip's a chance to get a tailwind and I can get all the way back in one go. Putting it all together, it's about 550 nautical miles and 5 hours of flying, but it's a good route, lots of safety factors, following the river most of the time down, lots of visible landmarks, and plenty of alternates with fuel if I need it. Plus, weather was reporting VFR all the way down. Now, risks. Long flight equals tired pilot. New airport, Roseburg. There's a coastal cloud layer coming in, which means I can't divert to the west. Mountains on 3 sides of Roseburg, and, wait a minute. What the hell is this? Let's just not land there. One more thing. Personal minimums. Now here are mine. I don't think they're unreasonable given I've got low hours. I'm trying to be realistic about my skill level. Pay attention to the visibility minimum. That one's going to come in later. This one's, just for me.
Hey, red one.
Now all the weather sources you see here I checked before I left, including my first ever call to 1-800-WIX brief to talk to a real briefer. Real nice guy, I liked him. All the same story, looks great, little patch of Kelso that's going to turn VFR later in the day, go for it. I should have watched the Weather Channel because if I had... Oh hey, wildfire smoke. Look again. Well, the voyage started off all right. Takeoff from Boeing Field in the Kent departure. Beautiful sunny day. Climbing out across Pierce County, 2,500 for my final cruising altitude of 6,500. As I went, it just started to look a little hazier each time.
It's kind of hazy.
Visibility greater than 10 and all other minimums still in line as I landed at Hillsboro. Below the smoke deck, it really did all look fine. Beautiful day. The plan is for Hillsboro to be that midpoint check-in on the outbound leg. Refuel, make sure everything still looks good. Yep, they got the truck. They're teaching a new guy how to do fuel, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of time, eat my sandwich, hang out here. If I remember correctly, it's a pretty awesome FBO. So this is where it starts to get a little bit weird. Climb out of Hillsboro, 2,500, get to my cruising altitude of 7,500. Now McMinnville, it starts to look a little bit more hazy. Once I reach Corvallis, out there in the distance, it's looking really hazy. By the time I reach Eugene, it is white soup underneath me. But it's hard to tell on such a long flight when the change is gradual. Look at it all together, it's obvious, right? But in the moment, perception doesn't work that way. I tried to overcome my perception bias by taking measurements. I used the GPS, range rings, and visual landmarks to try to get a measurement of visibility and saw it was decreasing. Recall, my visibility minimums were 10 miles, 3 miles outside Eugene, and they were down to 8 miles. Blown. I could have decided to continue, but remember, there are other risk factors. A pilot's job is ADM, and mine said, nope.
Approach Cessna 374 Mike Alpha. The smoke out here is getting pretty bad. I am not going to continue VFR to Roseburg. I need to divert back to Kelso, KKLF.
Here's the wacky part. All that white soup you see, still legal VFR. And I'm not going to argue whether it should or shouldn't be. I'm just making the judgment that legal doesn't always mean safe. At least it didn't for me this time. Now, even with a tailwind, it was another 2 hours to get back home. Thank goodness I ate something.
Hey, red one. Kilo, Lima, Sierra. ETA 55 minutes from now.
After amending my flight plan with flight service, it was time to come into Kelso. Maybe it was my imagination, but I could swear the smoke was following me up north. The mission had simplified it to just one directive: get home. Even though the original plan had me going all the way back in one go, and I had a tailwind with me, I was already into my risk factors, considered myself stressed, and needed to reduce variables, so I decided to take on fuel. The experience was a little rustic. Certainly not as sexy as Hillsboro. You know what's fun when you're trying to refuel? A frickin' helicopter! Oh, it's been a long day. And I forgot to get my stamp. In the end, I was coming home at 145 knots ground speed thanks to that tailwind. Uneventful return to KBFI straight in runway 32 right, but as you can see, the orange-red sky tells us that the smoke followed me all the way home.
All's well that ends well. Back home at Boeing Field.
There's a pilot who's happy to be on the ground. And that's what it's really all about. Having personal minimums you stick to, and being flexible to change your plans when conditions change, is all part of the toolkit to get you and your passengers home safe. Would I have done it the same way a second time? Probably, but I would have watched the Weather Channel.